Real-time rendering and Nano Banana to inside V-Ray? Is it possible? Yes, it is, with the newest update of this render engine. To enable it, all we need to do is assign the V-Ray GPU as our active shade render in the render setup. Then, click this icon. If you don't see it, make sure the Vantage toolbar is enabled. With the latest update, we can now preview ray-traced lighting, materials, and complex geometry directly inside the V-Ray viewport using Vantage. This is a huge workflow improvement. The only downside is that Vantage still runs alongside 3ds Max, so you need to wait until everything is loaded there before it becomes available in the V-Ray viewport. What's most impressive about this integration is that no special scene preparation is required. You can simply build your scene as you normally would. Once you have your basic lighting and material setup, you can turn on the live viewport and see the results immediately. From there, you can explore and render your scene in real time directly inside the V-Ray viewport, without constantly switching windows or exporting anything. This is a huge workflow improvement. This scene was originally prepared for V-Ray with light mix, so the lighting colors and intensity still need some adjustment. However, the workflow itself is very smooth and the updates happen instantly. We can adjust the lighting, tweak materials, move objects around, and see the rendering result directly in the V-Ray viewport. I also tested this scene with a lot of plants and fog, and it performed very well. Some fine-tuning is still needed, but keep in mind that this scene was not prepared specifically for this workflow. The new update allows you to navigate complex scenes with reflections, displacement, and photorealistic materials that respond instantly as you move through the viewport. Please note that this feature requires an active Chaos Vantage license. Now let's talk about Chaos Veras, the AI-powered creative ideation tool, which is now integrated directly into V-Ray. It runs on Nano Banana too. You can either send a screenshot from the V-Ray viewport or render from the VFB to Veras. I'll work here with the scene from our visualization training. In our work, some things are fixed, while others give us room for creative license. Here, I have a building with the materials and surroundings already added. Now, I want to explore what kind of lighting I could propose, as well as the overall style and mood. In this case, I prefer to work with the render rather than a screenshot from the viewport. We can start by exploring a few variations using Veras presets. When you hover over the icon, you can see the prompt that was used. You can choose the style you want and generate images. In this case, you can see that it doesn't preserve the materials, because the prompt included instructions related to that. It's not ideal, but within a couple of minutes, we can get some ideas about the direction we might want to take. We can explore whether we want something more standard or something more specific. That said, I prefer using the Compose tab because it gives us more control. Here we can choose the base image we want to work with. In my case, I'm using a render from V-Ray. We can also choose style chips, and we can create our own style chips as well, ones that we have tested and know work well. This time, I'll choose atmospheric. Let's try something moodier, like a cloudy sky with warm interior lights. I also want Veras to generate grass in the garden. We can also add a negative prompt. There are a few settings we can explore to decide how much control we want to give to AI. I definitely want the materials to stay as they are. We also have different render engines to choose from. For exploration, version 7 Flash works well. You can see that now we have different options than before. The images are quite gloomy, but there are still some things I can take inspiration from. For example, I like how adding shrubs together with the grass in the garden creates more layers and variety. I also like the dramatic sky with this camera angle and architecture, but the fog is too much. It makes the image too dark. Now for the opposite effect. Let's test daylight. I think that because atmospheric is turned on, it adds fog to the image. You can see that if I'm not precise about what I want, Veras adds pavement in the garden. I'll turn atmospheric off and add no fog to the prompt. Here we go. We can create a wide range of options like this. Another really cool feature is the ability to add references. I'll add a style reference and adjust the prompt a little. So let's say your client sends you references for the mood and lighting. You can quickly add them here and test how they might look in your scene. It changed the building materials, which I don't like, but I much prefer this daylight mood. Whenever you close Veras, you can find your generated images in the Gallery tab. Once you decide on the mood and lighting, you can recreate it later in V-Ray. So this is not a tool for final delivery. It's more useful for early and mid-stage design exploration, client alignment, and fast iteration. You can also add a reference, for example, for furniture or a sculpture. For this, we'll use the Object Reference option. Then describe what you want to do. Okay, it recreated the sculpture quite well, but the scale is off. Unfortunately, it added a hedge too. I think it would work better with the picture, with just one object on this. Let's see what happens if we add a bit more detail to the prompt, such as the height of the sculpture. That's better. We could experiment with the prompt further, but in this video, I want to give you a quick overview of what's possible rather than show a complete workflow. We can also apply a material reference. For example, we can change the material of the brick house to stone. It did a good job, but the scale is off. Maybe we can add something to the prompt to make it more suitable. The scale is better now, but it's still too large. Maybe I'll try to specify the size more precisely. On the wall in front of the house, it looks good, but on the house itself, I would adjust it further. In this case, I think adding this material inside 3ds Max will be easier and faster. However, it could work well for small furniture and detail objects. Here we can also create textures. In that case, we need to select none as the source image. Let's say I want to create a seamless concrete texture. Not something plain, but with some imperfections and small cracks. It's important to make sure that the texture is lit with flat top-down lighting. I'll change the aspect ratio in this case. I want a square texture. Awesome! Now, if needed, I can create, for example, a displacement map for this. I'll save the texture and add it as a reference. I'll specify the prompt and click Render. Here we go. Nice. We can also use the Compose tab for plan explorations. We just need to render the image and write a prompt. It's not perfect and some things may not make sense, but it's good enough for exploring ideas. I actually quite like this one. Now we have the Edit tab, which works a bit like a communicator with AI. You select an area and write what you want to add, change, or replace. You can also decide which render engine to use and adjust the settings. It might be helpful for future explorations with more detailed prompts, or for quickly adding things while testing different ideas. Some of my attempts weren't what I expected though. The prompt wasn't interpreted the way I wanted, or it didn't create the output I needed. We also have the Video tab. Here we need to add the first and last frame and describe in the prompt what we want to do with them. With just a couple of clicks, we created a low-quality shot. It's perfect for ID exploration, as well as for client interactions when we want to quickly show what we have in mind. Good news for Corona users. The Chaos Veras is available in Corona too. Veras is included across all V-Ray plans, and it consumes Chaos credits. Chaos credits are included with your product subscription, giving you a monthly allowance to use across supported services and features. If you need more, you can purchase credit packages. So what do you think? Do you like these features? Let me know in the comments. Check them out, the link to the website in the description.